Welcome again to NMP Talk Show. Our talk show is the show that keeps you informed and engaged with topics about your mental health wellness. And we're looking forward to our show this evening. I have my co-host Figile. Figile, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Noah. It's great to be here on a Monday evening. That's
Yes.
one thing I look forward to. Today, it's a wonderful day. I mean, I never thought I'll have to be worried about dieting in winter, but you can welcome our guests. But before that, maybe a little bit of house rules, where we live today. We're live on Riverside FM, we're live on TikTok, are we live on YouTube?
No, we only live on Telegram.
We're live on Telegram. So if you want to pose a question, if you're on TikTok, just write your question on the comment section. We'll pass it to our guest. And if you are on Riverside, there's a chat box. You can just pose your question there, and our guest will be able to respond to your question. And if you are on Telegram, just raise your hand on that. There's a hand feature, and you'll be able to communicate with our guest on stage. Over to you,
Awesome.
Nero. You can introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you so much, Figile, for that introduction. And from myself as well, a warm welcome. So we want to introduce to you Jacinta Ndubane. It's not the first time she comes to our show. She's been there already, giving us diets that we need to go about with. And I don't know, Figile, have you kept on the diet that the last
Well,
time
I
she
mean,
spoke?
in winter we don't diet, but that's why Jacinta is here tonight, eh?
Jacinta,
Just to
welcome to
keep
the
on
show.
reminding us if we forget.
Thank you so much, Neo and Fikile. It's a pleasure to be here again, and I'm really looking forward to engaging you on this topic.
Oh
We're looking
yes,
forward
it's the
from
same.
hearing
Yeah.
from you. Yes. Mm.
Same here. So what we've done for our guest, we had a recording done prior to the show, where Jacinta will be explaining everything about the diet. So we're going to play the recording, and after the recording, we'll have a Q&A where you can ask questions. If you have comments, we also welcome those comments. If you're on Telegram, you have a round button with a man with a hand. Click on that if you want to raise a hand, and we'll unmute you so that you can ask or comment on the show. So, without further ado, let's listen to her presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacinta Ndubane. I am a registered dietitian. And today I wanted to discuss with you how the winter season can negatively impact our eating patterns and our behaviors, and thus leading to unwanted weight gain. And also, I will be discussing how we can overcome these challenges so that we're still in good health for spring and still in the weight that we wanted to be in. Let's first talk about how winter actually negatively impacts our eating patterns. Well, it does this in three ways. The first way is in how winter in itself as a season is a very cold season. So, because of the low temperatures, our natural instinct is to keep warm. So, when you're trying to keep warm, naturally you will be gravitating towards warm foods and warm meals. So you'll be avoiding meals that are typically very cold. For example, you might maybe not want to have a smoothie for breakfast when it's winter because it's so cold and the ingredients are always so cold and chilled. And also, you might want to avoid having, say, yogurt and a fruit salad in the morning because the yogurt is from the fridge and it's all cold. So, to avoid feeling that very low temperature, you might gravitate towards maybe having something like a toasted sandwich, with ham and tomatoes and cheese, or you might want to have a muffin or pancakes. And even for lunches and dinners, instead of going for what you normally would have in the warmer months, such as a tuna salad, for example, you might gravitate more towards more richer meals like rich pasta dishes with the cheese sauce, or a hearty stew, or sometimes you might just want to have a creamy soups, like a creamy butternut soup. So we tend to gravitate towards meals that are more richer meaning they're very dense in calories because they are the foods that we associate with feelings of being warm. And so we'll move away from the meals that actually help with weight management and weight loss. So that is the first way in which winter can actually get us eating differently to how we would normally eat in the warmer months. And also, on the topic of the meals that are warm and rich, you might find yourself drinking more warm beverages or hot beverages. For instance, someone who typically doesn't drink that much tea or coffee might find themselves now drinking more of the coffees and the teas. And for a lot of people, drinking tea and coffee means more sugar, more milk. So you might not end up taking in more sugar because you're drinking more coffee or because it's winter. So now you've increased your sugar intake. You're now increasing the energy and the calories. And worse yet, in some instances, some individuals will even go for the hot chocolates. Someone might even go with the pre-mixed coffee sachets, like the cappuccinos. And we all know what that goes with. It also goes with some rusks and scones, and which is all very typical of the winter season. So in trying to get warm or trying to feel warm, we might be taking in way more calories than we did previously in the warmer months. So that is the first way that the season can actually get us eating in a way that could lead to weight gain. The second way in which winter can get us eating in a way that we wouldn't normally be eating like in the warmer months is how it is typically known as the colds and flu season. Okay, so in winter, we find ourselves having more sick days. Okay, you might catch a flu, you might get a cold. And we all know when we're feeling sick, you're not really energetic and in the mood to go and exercise. So when you're sick, that means that less physical activity will take place. And if you are someone who previously used to go to the gym or jog, that might not happen. So if you get sick quite a lot, I mean, you get the flu early in winter, and again as winter wears out, you might be spending a lot of time not working out because you're feeling sick. And something else about being sick is that we crave comfort food. So now we're back to the rich meals. So we're back to the hearty stews. We're back to the comfort meals, the rich pasta dishes. And also, when you're sick, you're more likely to have flu concoctions. So you might be drinking your concoction, your hot water with lemon, ginger, garlic, and what do we add? Honey. Honey helps fight off colds and flus. But now it's a catch-22 because honey is also very dense and high in sugar. So now you're eating and drinking more sugar because you've got a flu. So your calories are going up and now you're gaining weight, all because you're treating an infection. So the sick days in themselves also contribute to how we eat and some of the beverages that we're taking in. So that's the second way that winter can throw us off our patterns, by the sick days. Okay, now the other way is how in winter we get less vitamin D exposure. Now this happens as a result of putting on a bit more clothes, so a little bit more jackets and jerseys, we wear boots, beanies. This means that we're getting less exposure to sunlight, which helps us in increasing our vitamin D levels. So if you're not getting enough sunlight exposure, you're more likely to be deficient in vitamin D. So then what does vitamin D have to do with our eating patterns and behaviors in winter? Well, if you are deficient or you are lacking in vitamin D, it has been shown that you're more prone to sore muscles, painful joints, bones, and also a lot of fatigue. So if you're feeling sore, if your body's sore, again, you're less likely to want to engage in exercise. So because you're feeling sore, because you're deficient in vitamin D, less physical activity. Something else that vitamin D has been associated with, or rather the lack thereof, is as a weakened immune response. So if you have a weakened immune response, it means you're more likely to catch infections such as colds and flus. So because now you've got a weaker immune system, we're back to the sick days again. And what happens on sick days? Comfort foods, flu concoctions, all that honey, and all that rich meals and beverages that are previously discussed to say they also contribute to high energy intake during the month of winter. And this is happening because your immune system is weakened by a lack of vitamin D. And another thing that can happen due to having low vitamin D levels is feeling a bit more depressed, feeling a bit more blue, under the weather, all because of a lack of vitamin D. And what happens when we're feeling under the weather? We gravitate towards comfort food. Okay, so all of these factors come together in affecting how we eat and what we drink, and also limited physical activity. So we exercise less in winter, we eat more rich meals, and we drink also very rich beverages. And also with the flu concoctions, we could be adding a little bit too much honey and end up with a lot of sugar in our diets. And all these factors, they come in contributing to unwanted weight gain. And also, even if you're not concerned too much about weight, even your health can be negatively impacted by changes in eating patterns. I know when spring season comes up, I see more cases of high cholesterol in patients who previously reported not having high cholesterol, only to find that during the winter months, the same patients were drinking a bit more coffee and tea and were adding coffee creamers. Now, coffee creamers contain a very bad fat that can raise blood cholesterol. So if you find yourself in winter now drinking more coffee, more tea, more pre-mixed cappuccinos and commercial beverages, you might actually end up with high cholesterol come spring. Okay, so this is why it's important to really check that our eating patterns are not negatively impacted throughout the season. How can we do that? And I'm going to give you some tips now on how to overcome these challenges that are brought by winter. All right, great. So now that we know how the winter season can negatively impact our eating patterns and lead to unwanted weight gain, what can we do about it? How can we overcome these challenges and make sure that we are still on the right path with our diet and our weight and our health? Well, I've got 5 tips to share. The first tip is to set goals, very clear goals. Merely saying, I want to lose 5 kilograms in winter is not good enough. You need to know why you want to lose these 5 kilograms. When are you going to start exactly? The first week of winter, second month of winter? And with who? Are you going to have help? Are you going to have support? What research or tools are you going to use to lose weight? What are you going to do differently this time that is going to help you lose weight that you haven't done before, or that you have done before that you want to do again? So your goals have to be very smart, in terms of being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So make sure that you set clear goals in winter. Most of the time you find that we already had goals in the beginning of the year, but over the months, they've somehow fizzled out. We've forgotten about them. So it might be good as well to just revisit some of those goals that we set in the beginning of the year and see if we can resuscitate them and get back on that wagon. So great, we are setting goals. The next tip I can give you is to support your immune system. Like I mentioned, that winter is associated with more sick days. So you might want to get a supplement for vitamin D. Now, you might wonder, why should I get a supplement for vitamin D? Can't I just get it from my diet? Well, we do get foods that are rich in vitamin D, such as fatty fish, including tuna, salmon. You also get eggs that also have vitamin D. You also get mushroom that also has vitamin D. But the form in which the vitamin D is in this food is called vitamin D2. So vitamin D2 is not bioavailable in the body. The body can't use it to carry out its functions. The vitamin D2 still needs to be converted into vitamin D3 into the body so that the body can use it. So how does it get converted? Through sunlight exposure. And like I've said, in winter, we're all wearing a lot of clothes, not getting enough sunlight exposure. So you might be Googling foods to eat to increase my vitamin D. You've got your list ready and you've eaten them, but you're still low on vitamin D. It's mainly because the form in which it's in is not readily available for the body because of a lack of sunlight exposure. So once you get exposure to sunlight with the vitamin D, it gets converted into vitamin D3, and that is the bioavailable form. So that is the form that I recommend that you supplement with, because you cannot get vitamin D3 in food. Okay, so you can supplement with vitamin D3. And to take it a step further, you might want to get a vitamin D3 supplement that is coupled with vitamin K2, because studies have also found that vitamin K2 helps the body readily use this vitamin D3 that we get in supplements. So that's something that you might want to look into. So what about the other immune boosting nutrients? We look at vitamin C. It's a very popular one. Around this time, you'll see that TV adverts are going to start showing a lot of effervescent tablets that you can just put in water and drink. You're going to see lots of vitamin C supplements on the market. Should you take one? Well, there's no harm in taking vitamin C tablets. However, when it comes to vitamin C, I'm a bit different. Unlike vitamin D, I think you can get enough vitamin C from your food. So foods that are really high in vitamin C include citrus. You'll see every supermarket right now has a lot of citrus fruits available, from oranges to Nikes. You're going to find grapefruit, lots of citrus fruit that you can buy. So citrus is your go-to, along with strawberries. Strawberries are also a very good source of vitamin C that you can add to your breakfast as well, or as a snack. Also, bell peppers. Bell peppers are a good source of vitamin C, so you can also add them to some of your meals. So when it comes to vitamin C, it's up to you. There's no harm in taking the vitamin C supplements, but also even if you didn't, if your diet is really rich in these vitamin C rich foods, you'll be getting enough of this immune boosting nutrient. All right, so now you've got your vitamin C, you've got your vitamin D. What about those flu concoctions that I mentioned earlier? You can also have a concoction where you boil your ginger, your garlic, and your lemon, and you drink that. Should you add honey? Well, I wouldn't regularly add honey to my flu concoctions on a preventative in a preventative way. I wouldn't take that every day to prevent colds and flus. I would rather reserve honey for days that I do feel sick and I do have a flu, and then honey will help me to recover. But knowing that it really does have a lot of those calories, I would rather have my beverages without it, just to make sure that I'm not taking in more calories than I actually need. Right, so that's the second tip. Support your immune system. Now, the third tip that I have is to stay active. Get moving. Don't stop. Okay, remember I said it's a bit cold, so no one's really in the mood to wake up in the morning and go jogging, or after work to go run. It gets dark so early, and so we end up not exercising like we previously did in the warmer months. So this is the time while now we have to think of other ways to get ourselves moving. Maybe you can make use of the gym at work, and maybe during your lunchtime, spare some, say maybe 30 minutes to be on the treadmill. Or if you work very strict hours during the week, capitalize on weekends. You can't go running at 5 and 6 a.m. anymore, maybe go at 8. And if you can't do it in the evenings, maybe start jogging earlier, maybe around 3 or 4 p.m. It's not as cold and it's not as dark. So you might want to think outside the box. And also, if you're really struggling with the motivation, get some friends to join you. See if you can't join groups that have challenges for winter to work out. So anything just to keep you motivated, to keep active. Remember, staying active is also something that will help your immune system, and this will also help you to not get so sick. Like I've mentioned already, that sick days are also going to contribute to unhealthy eating patterns. So whatever you do, stay active, don't stop. And what about the fourth tip? When it comes to your meals, this is a tricky one. When it comes to your meals, be creative. I know in winter we all want those rich meals that I've just mentioned, and we all want to drink that rich cappuccino and things like that. But we're going to have to be creative with our meals. So instead of, say, maybe for breakfast going for a toasted sandwich that's really high in calories and fatty cheese and things like that, you might go for oats. Okay, oats is nice and warm, it's a porridge. What I love about it is that it's high in fiber, it's low GI, and it's really filling. So you could make your oats with low-fat milk, You can add your strawberries, which also have vitamin C, remember, and you can also mix in some nut butter, or you can add some seeds, and you can have that for breakfast, and you wouldn't have to feel guilty. All right, and you would have boosted your immune system. So try something like that. And also for your lunches, a lot of people try to stay away from salads in winter, like I've mentioned. They want something a bit warmer. Well, you can actually try what I call a warm salad. A warm salad is one where you use vegetables that you can actually roast, unlike a cucumber and lettuce, you can't put that in the oven, but you can roast butternut. So maybe you can have a roast chicken and butternut salad, or you can go for a grain that is high in fiber. I think of quinoa right now. Quinoa is a grain that is very high in fiber. It's low calorie as well, and it also has a bit more protein than most grains. So it's a good one to add to your salad. So you can have some chicken, quinoa, and butternut, and all the other fresh vegetables in your salads this winter. So warm salads or warm bowls are what you can be looking into in terms of lunches. And also, what about dinners? Okay, so we've spoken about the oats for breakfast. We've spoken about the lunches where you can have your warm salads. Winter dinners don't have to be any different. They can also be warm, but with less calories. So instead of going for the typical pasta dishes, your chicken Alfredo, your spaghetti bolognese with all the right sauces in the right places, you can try something like a stir fry. You can have, say, maybe prawn stir fry, chicken stir fry, using lean chicken strips, and your bell peppers for vitamin C. You can use that, and because it's a nice warm dish, and you can serve that, say, maybe with sweet potato mash. Sweet potatoes are high in beta carotene, which is a form of vitamin A, which is also an antioxidant that will also boost your immune system. So you could look into foods like that. And also, if you do grains, doesn't mean you have to stop eating rice. You can always have high fiber grains. So instead of a normal rice, go for brown rice, wild rice. Okay, try to increase the fiber of your grains this winter so that you know that you are actually getting in that fiber that you need, but also it's good for your blood glucose control and you won't gain too much weight from having those grains. So be creative there as well with the meals. And if you're struggling putting together a meal plan that will sustain you through winter, you might want to contact me for something that is a bit more personalized for you. But those are just some ideas that you can look into. And then the last tip, do not give up. Okay, stay motivated. Most of the time, our plans fail because we quit too easy. The first week of winter, it was so cold, or there's a lot of rain, and you can't go out to exercise like you said you would. You didn't eat the way you thought you would. So now you're like, okay, this is not gonna work. I'll try again next winter. Don't do that, okay? Keep trying. If the first week didn't work out, try again in the next week, okay? And if that doesn't work out, try again in the next week. And if you're really struggling, maybe it's time you go back to your goals and you have a look at the goals that you've set for yourself. Are they really realistic? Did you make them realistic for yourself, and are they achievable? You don't have to have these huge goals that you really are going to struggle to achieve to the point where you demotivate yourself. Make them small, make small goals and build on them as you reach the small goals. Have short-term goals as well, and then you can achieve your long-term goals. All right, so stay motivated. Talk to friends and family members. See if you can't do this together. Eating healthy, working out, boosting your immune system, and doing things differently this time around, this winter. Because what I find in practice is that come spring, I get a lot of patients for weight loss. And when I find out that this weight was gained just now in winter, I get so surprised. I'm like, wow, it was only 12 weeks and you gained so much weight. And even people who started off very well in the beginning of the year, they've got the right resolutions going. Winter is that stumbling block that gets them. Okay, it doesn't have to happen to you. So make sure that you go back to the drawing board just to make sure that this winter you know how you're going to be eating, you know you have your exercise plan in place. And also with the water drinking, with the beverages, remember some people stop drinking water. They say it's too cold, I can't drink water, and I hate hot water or warm water. Again, like I said, be creative a bit on the meals. You might want to add a slice of lemon, more vitamin C for you, so that at least you keep drinking your water. So make sure that you keep hydrated, you're eating right, your immune system, you've got your right supplements in place, and like I said, you're still active and you don't give up. You keep up that motivation. If you do that, you won't have any rebound weight gain to work through in spring. And also, your health will still be in check. Remember, I said some of the decisions and the foods that we eat in winter can negatively affect our glucose, it can even negatively affect our cholesterol, even our blood pressure. So, you don't want to be battling a new disease come spring. All right, so that's the tips I have for you. I hope they're going to help you and make things differently this time around. If you struggle, do let me know. But that's all I have for you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a beautiful presentation from Jacinta there. We really enjoyed it. I mean, she brought out some of the um, beautiful steps that we can follow and remedy the solution. I for one am the one who drinks a lot of coffee and tea during winter, and even though my metabolism doesn't show that I'm picking up weight, it
But you
has
know,
adverse effects, you know, on my health as well. Yeah, I get
yeah,
dehydrated, but yeah, no, I've learned something. If you connected on Telegram and you want to have a comment there, please raise your hand. We can um, unmute
you
yourself
know,
there. Unmute you.
talking about drinking a
Yeah.
lot of coffee and your tea. One of our guests on TikTok was asking, "How
Mm,
do I cut down on drinking the teas in winter?"
yeah.
I hope they stayed long enough to hear the steps that Jacinta actually told us. On how to be creative. On what you need to do. You can drink warm water instead of tea.
Yeah.
You can drink your tea with no sugar or no honey. It's Jacinta still with us?
We seem to have lost her. I'm trying to reach her on the side.
Okay, no,
Yeah,
that's fine.
while we're talking. But if you do have any comments from Telegram, please don't hesitate. We all, yes, we'll try to answer according to what we've heard from a
Hmm.
presentation. And if you commenting on the presentation itself, it will also be of benefit.
Yeah.
Um,
You,
yeah,
you, you know, you asked me at the beginning of the show now to say that how far am I? I'm glad that Jacinta actually touched on me there to say, hey, it got difficult. I
it
started
does.
nicely and it got difficult. So
Mm,
I fell
mm,
off the wagon. Now it's time for me to climb back. If I can't, I need to get my family and friends to join me
yeah,
in doing it. I
yeah.
think, maybe the joining of family and friends can help because when you're doing it by yourself, it's easier to give up. What do you think?
It is. She also mentioned something about getting someone to. Oh, yeah, we do have a comment on Telegram.
Mhm, mhm.
Let's give it a chance.
Okay.
Sis Kathy, you can unmute yourself there and welcome to NMP Talk Show. Oh, there.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you
Hello.
loud and clear.
Hi, Neo. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for a very informative topic. Yes, I agree with our dietitian regarding, falling off the wagon during winter times.
Mm,
But now, especially with our the community where we are, the challenges that we face, you find that is the economic effect, you know. The minute you mention, special diets and whatever, brown rice, people tend to say, they can afford,
mm,
but of which is not true. Because, for example, where I work, I encourage them, if you can't afford brown rice, you can afford brown meal, you know. So, but most people will always give an excuse regarding finances that,
mm,
um, keeping on track, it's actually expensive. But some way you have to understand, but I guess we just have to try most of us.
Mhm, mhm,
But
mhm,
personally, yeah, it's true that we just fall off the way,
You are
but
so right.
we will be okay.
You are so right,
Yeah.
Sis Kathy. By the way, Sis Kathy is also a nurse at
okay.
Unjani Clinic.
Mhm,
So she's speaking from experience there, and thank you for commenting on the experience that you go through with your patients.
mhm,
And I also
Yeah.
agree with that. We're looking at the price. I think it's more expensive to be healthy than otherwise.
Mm.
You know,
It's
because
true. Yeah.
convenience sometimes is cheap, but at the long run, it's very expensive.
very
It's
expensive.
expensive.
The
It's
burgers
true.
that we buy on a regular, when you're thinking about lunchtime, you just quickly go to McDonald's or go to Burger King, and then you have
Mhm,
that.
mhm,
And
mhm,
even Burger King will have, what do you call it? Not unlimited, but it has a different name where you can drink, unlimitedly from the beverages that they serve. I mean,
mhm,
those are not
Mm.
healthy.
mhm, mhm,
You
mhm.
only
It's true.
realize that they're not healthy in the long run, where you're starting getting sick and you constantly have flu, you don't have energy, you're dehydrated, because most of us, when we dehydrated, all we think about is Coke, not water. And come weekend, it's no longer Coke, but it's
It's
Coke
something
sponged
else.
with something else, you know? Yeah, all those dry jeans and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So all of those things, they add up, and unfortunately they cause damage to our bodies. They seem to
Mhm,
be cheap at the time that you purchase them, but in fact they are very expensive. She also mentioned on her video there that if you look at the budget, you look at the things that you can buy that are healthy, they may be expensive there, but
mhm.
on a long term they're actually cheaper,
Cheaper
in that you don't buy everything and eat it at once.
at once.
You have
Mhm,
rations, and
mhm,
some of these fibers, food with fiber, they last a long time in
mhm,
our stomachs, so we get filled for quite a long time, that we
mhm,
don't have to nibble on everything. And
mhm.
I don't know about you, Figile, and
You
whoever
know,
is
I
connected
wanted
to.
to add on
Yeah.
what Sis Kathy is saying. I actually liked what she when she says it's an excuse that we make. Honestly, it is an excuse. When you're
Mm,
looking at a family meal that I have to buy that will serve four people in the house,
yeah.
whether it's McDonald's, KFC, or whatever fast food, there's
Mm,
nothing less than 200 rand that will suit the family at that point. And
yeah.
it's a meal for that hour. It doesn't
Mm,
mean that it's for the whole day. But if you take that money and you go buy the brown rice, it will last maybe a week. Instead
mm,
of that meal that will last you an hour, you can buy brown rice for that week. You can
mm.
buy vegetables that will last you for that week. I think it's how we set our priorities. When we're doing our groceries, if you plan for it, if you budget for it, and you stick to your budget, I do believe that you can do it. But that's about whether you want to do it or you don't.
If you put it like that, it hurts, eh?
I
If
know, I
you
know,
want
but
to and you don't.
it's the reality of it. I mean,
Of
I,
course.
I I'm one of those who will say, a healthy diet is very expensive. But when
Yeah.
I sit down and
Just
calculate how
calculate.
much I spend on fast food, I could buy a healthy meal that will last me for a week with a meal that I buy for a day. So I'm one of those. I
I don't know
just
about
needed
you.
the reality check tonight.
I only realize that fast food is expensive when I'm broke. Any
And
other
that's when you
time,
start cooking.
yeah. Any other time, fast food is good for me, and
it's
I
it's
just
good.
go for it. but it is expensive. Yeah.
It's
If you
very
put it,
expensive. It's very expensive.
she also
Questions
listed.
are welcome.
Yeah, yeah. She also listed 5 steps that we can overcome challenges. The first one
Mhm.
is setting up goals. Be specific, and those goals must be measurable. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of time we do set goals, to achieve a certain weight. Oh, there she comes
there she
back.
comes.
Yeah, welcome, Jacinta.
Welcome back.
I thought because your presentation was that good, you said no, I'm not needed here anymore.
It was self-explanatory.
Yes. So while you were gone, we're just catching up on what you were discussing on the video on your presentation. And one of the things is falling off the wagon. We do have a nurse in connected here as well, and she was supporting what you just said, and with the experience that she's going through when she's consulting with her clients. And anything that you maybe would like to add on top of the video regarding, falling off the wagon, and how we can encourage one another, just to, we fall, you trip and fall like babies. They when they start walking, they fall and they stand up. So those are baby steps, but eventually you start walking, you know without falling constantly.
Yes, it happens quite often actually, the falling off the wagon. And like I said in the video, we see it a lot in winter because of all these factors that work against us. But even besides the winter season, falling off the wagon can happen if a patient, say, maybe is demotivated to continue on their goal. So my recommendation there or my tip there is, like I said, just go back and revisit your goals. Why were they set in the first place? Sometimes
Mm,
you find patient has a chronic condition, and it's very important for them to stay on the wagon if they are to see an improvement in their health outcomes. So just to get that little bit of nutritional counseling or nutritional education, just for them to understand the importance and the gravity of staying on the wagon. Sometimes we fall off because we don't understand the repercussions of not staying on the wagon. So we
mm,
just need to make sure that we're clear on why we started the journey in the first place. Remember, we're trying to prevent disease and we're also trying to manage chronic disease. So that is the first reason. So make sure that your goal is set around that. Okay. Because if you just say, I've got a cruise in October, I just want to fit into a size 34, come spring, even if you're not size 34, you'll be like, oh, well, I guess size 36 is not so bad. That's a very valid reason to start. And it's not going to be or through the tough days. So just go back and revisit exactly why you're setting those
You're
goals.
doing
And
it.
if they're
mm.
meaningful enough, that will keep you going. And also the support
Sorry, Jacinta,
system.
your volume is
Mic,
is fading
I think
away
the
a
mic
little
is
bit. Maybe
covered.
you can move your device closer to you. Yeah,
Yeah. And also
there you
the
go.
support system. Okay, thank you. And also the support system is also very important. Don't go about it alone. The people
Mm,
around you are part of it. Okay, like I said,
Mhm.
if you're struggling to get everyone in the house to support you, maybe have a session with the doctor or the nurse or the dietitian just to go through why this is important so that you can have everyone's buy-in. And if
Mhm.
you're working in an employer,
I seem to have lost her again.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we
guess
lost her
it's a
again.
network. Yeah,
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 maybe she's experiencing load shedding there.
it could be.
All right. So, any more questions on TikTok? Anything?
No,
Uh,
on TikTok, actually, the other one I wanted to hear from her. It's about the taking of vitamins. She mentioned vitamin D, D2, D3, supplementing with K2. One was saying if I'm eating healthy, I'm getting my vitamin C on my fruits and I'm getting the exposure to sunlight, do I need to take the supplements? Will it not be overdose? Will it be necessary for me to take the supplements? When is it really necessary for me to take the supplements? But it needed her to be here to
Yeah.
actually answer that.
Look, I can try and answer that one. I'm not a
Oh, yes,
professional,
please
and
do.
as a disclaimer,
You
I
are
do
not a
have,
professional in the field.
I actually have two nurses in on Telegram. If you are
Yes.
able to answer that question, please raise your hand and we can take your comment on that. But what I have figured out from the presentation is the sunlight helps to convert the D2 into D3, which is
Mm-hmm.
something that is needed for, by the body. Because
Mm-hmm.
when it's D2, the body can't use it. So
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be converted. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the time you need supplement is when you are deficient in those elements.
Those
So
elements,
that's when
yes.
you take, yeah, that's when you take your supplements to boost the levels up.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes a time where the levels are okay and you have the sunlight. Please, before I waste this um,
She is whatever
information
it
in
is.
giving out
May we hear from
information.
our nurses there.
Yes, please. We do have our Skatey there. Our Standi as well has joined us. From your experience, from your field, um, and somebody that comes to your consultation regarding supplements, how do you go about them? We'll be interested to hear what you say on that regard.
Mhm, mhm.
While we're waiting for them to take up that answer, one of the things that Jacinta also mentioned in overcoming the challenges is staying active.
Yeah.
Yo,
Mhm,
how
mhm.
do you stay active?
In this winter.
in this way? She mentioned that you can run, the weekend while you're not going to work because the sun sets very quickly and it gets
Mhm.
dark. It's not safe.
Very
That is so
easy.
true. And right, let's leave the professionals for this one. Sis Tandi,
Yeah.
please unmute yourself.
Okay, now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Though I managed to join late, but I did hear all the advice.
Mm.
Mhm.
The other thing, I don't know whether this was mentioned. So, if maybe a person is not sure whether to add supplements due to the reason that the diet is adequate, I think maybe the speaker will agree with me. Sometimes when you go to the doctor, you can ask the doctor to take bloods for you. Like
Mm.
for example, if you want to check your iron, they check your iron, then they tell you the level. So
Mm.
then you'll know whether to
You need
add
to take.
supplements or not.
Mm.
Your
Mhm.
calcium, the doctor, the sister was talking, agree with that. There's full blood count. You can
Mhm.
ask for a full blood count to be taken, or what was it called? UNE, what is it? Electrolytes. You can ask those things to be taken so that you can see whether you're average or you're above or you need some supplements, though you're eating well. That is
Mhm.
what I can add if it was not mentioned before I joined.
I think that
Perfect.
was the question outstanding. Thank you very much.
That's the answer to the question. please
Yes,
discard
Okay,
what
you did
Nell,
thank
answer
you
that
very
question.
please discard what Nell had said. Nell is not a professional.
We've got another comment or question. I don't know, Ausnaledi, you'll clarify this for me. She says active in this winter and load shedding with a question mark. So how can you be active in this winter with load shedding?
I must say our guest is struggling to connect, maybe because of load shedding. So
It
imagine
could
if we
be. I mean,
we are technologically challenged
yeah.
during load shedding. How about the running in the dark? How safe that will be for you?
I mean,
Not at
you need
all.
a light to run now. But one thing I liked on what she said, if you
Mm,
cannot wake up
mm,
at 5, I mean 5, even 6, when my alarm goes off and I
mm.
check outside, it's still dark.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to be up because the kids must be at school. So
Mm,
you're thinking if I have to go for a jog before I take the kids to school, it's impossible. But she says try a later hour, say try at 8 if you can. But if you can't, 30 minutes walk during your lunch hour at work. You can just take the 30 minutes walk up and down the stairs. Avoid using the lift. Take the stairs. Avoid parking just by your door. Just
mhm.
park a little bit further and then you walk back to the door. I mean, you are active. You're utilizing the time and the little that you have to stay active. It's
Yeah,
worth a try. It's
it is.
challenging though.
It is. She also mentioned being creative. I
Mhm.
love oats. Really, I do love
Oh.
oats. But preparing it sometimes can be a challenge. Not a challenge, maybe because I'm lazy and I like doing it myself. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I find that oats um, has more benefits than any other cereals that I personally have eaten. So
Mhm.
when I eat oats more than cornflakes and all of that, I feel
Mhm.
better,
Mhm.
when consuming that. And I'm happy
Mhm.
that she mentioned that we can have as part of the diet your oats because it's high in fiber. She
Mhm.
also mentioned stir fries.
Mhm.
I had to Google bell pepper, and I'm like, what is bell pepper?
Oh no, no, please.
No, my stomach knows what bell pepper is.
But
It's
you
just my
don't know
eyes.
it.
Just my eyes.
It's understood. No, you don't cook for yourself. It's okay.
No, no,
It's
my wife
okay.
does it.
I like the fact that you mentioned something about being creative when you're preparing your
Mm,
meals.
mm,
And the things that she was mentioning,
mm,
it's not complicated meals. It's not something that you cannot find anywhere in the supermarket.
mm.
And going back to what we were saying earlier, to say that those foods are expensive,
Yeah,
it's not really. I mean, bell pepper, we buy it every day. But how are we using it? Instead of putting it in a salad, now you can add it on your stir fry. So that's the creativity that she was talking about. And she said, if you need more on how to be creative on your meals, you can contact her. I hope you have her contact details that you can share with our audience. Because
yes,
being creative with the meals, I do believe that I need that one.
yeah. So she practices in Midrand. I will share her details, email address, and her website after the show, where you can talk to her regarding having a custom made diet for you,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
my diet may not necessarily be the same as
The
yours.
same as mine.
So yeah, you can contact her on that.
Yeah.
So we just have few minutes left. It's amazing, time flies. She says don't give up.
No, we're not
How
giving up.
many times have you given up going to the gym, Figile? And this is just not
You're
for
talking about going to the gym.
this is
Tell
just
me,
not for
you
you.
know, I came up with an excuse after our last show. Actually,
Mm,
during our last show, I said, I'm not going to go to the gym because I
mm.
pay for nothing.
Yeah.
Let me just use the roads because they are free. I
The
tried
roads, but
using the
do you
roads.
mean driving on the roads?
Not driving. I
No, no,
thought of
no.
jogging,
Okay.
but jogging became a challenge.
Yeah, I
The
know for
minute I
sure.
go out, I'm tired, I come back in.
That's true. I know for sure Sister Ni jogs. Sister Ni, do you still jog?
Do you still do what?
Do you still jog?
Yes, I do.
Ah, so we do have
Sure.
healthy freaks in the show there.
In the show, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Kathy, you
But
can
my
also
running
join
is
in
not.
the conversation by unmuting yourself there. I just unmuted you. You can jump into the,
Yes,
yeah.
I think that is very, very important. And instead of jogging,
Mm,
like personally, I walk,
okay.
brisk walk.
Mhm, mhm,
And as Figile has said, most of the time, because it's winter, we don't stick to our routines.
Mm,
But even if, for example, I personally, the last week, I didn't do anything. But this morning, I told myself that I have to start all over again.
mm,
And
mhm,
therefore, I don't start by jogging. I will start with brisk walk because remember this, as you jog, we need to take care of our
muscles.
cardiac system.
Mm,
I had
mhm,
somebody who defaulted on jogging for 2 months. And when he went back to the gym for jogging, he suffered a stroke and he didn't know that. So it is very, very important that, we don't get harsh to our bodies.
mm,
You
mhm,
need to listen to your body, listen to that heartbeat. If it's
mhm,
just going up and up and up, we are heading for disaster.
mm,
So as our dietitian has advised us, if you can't do it in the morning, do it in the afternoon.
mm.
But it
mhm,
is doable.
mhm, mhm,
Right.
mhm, mhm,
Yo, thank you for that valuable comment there. Because sometimes we wanna catch up on our gym,
mhm.
and then we push our bodies. Uh, and
Same
and and
here.
and, and
Yeah.
as summer is coming, we want to have those summer bodies. You find that you only have 2 weeks
You
left.
know, she mentioned something that I actually consoled myself on a statement to say, hey, I was a size 34 for the longest time. When I
Mm,
had to move to a size 36, I tried going back to a size 34 and it wasn't doable. I fell off the wagon. And I said, but 36 is not
you know,
bad.
that's how you look
So
at
it's
it.
an excuse that we come up with to say, no, it's not bad. I can stick to 36. And then next year it will be 38. The next time it will be a 40, and now it's against my body, you know?
Wow. Well, we've reached the end of our show as we can hear that music playing in the background. Just a reminder that
Mhm,
we are coming to an end of the show. Thank you for connecting with us. Just to recap on what we have discussed, or our guest has discussed on the video.
mhm,
She listed 5 steps that we can follow to overcome challenges. The first one, she said, we must set goals, and secondly, we must support immune system um, by vitamin 2, K2, and also vitamin 3 that needs sunlight as well, so that it processes. And the
mhm,
third step was about staying active. We talked a little bit about staying active there,
mhm,
jogging, going to the gym, brisk walking. We also appreciate the comments from our 2 nurses there that were able to comment on there. And the first step that she also alluded to was being creative. So with our meals, so that they
mhm.
are not boring. Winter meal is usually is not so nice, and especially a healthy meal, not
The
so
healthy
nice. So
meals.
yeah, maybe it's not about the winter meal, but the healthy meal
Yeah.
usually does not taste delicious.
Tastes like cardboard.
Thank you. So when she said they we must be creative, use oats, and then sometimes you can do stir fries,
Mhm,
unlike any other dry foods that maybe you dread to eat.
mhm,
And the last
mhm,
step that she spoke about was not giving up, setting reasonable goals. So we do want to follow these steps so that we do have a winter diet that works for us.
mhm,
We want you to come out from winter being the person that you want yourself to be, and also a healthier person. A healthy body contributes to a healthy mind. So if you are healthy, your mindset is healthy as well. A lot of things just fall into place. It affects your life completely. It affects your relationship with your families. It affects every single thing that you touch or walk around. So be sure that you take conscious note of what you eat this winter, because that will go a long run. So thank you so much for joining us. Figil, I don't know if you have any closing remarks on your side.
One thing that I want to go back to and what she said is that if you fell off, get back on. If
Yeah,
you fall off this week, restart the next week. It won't kill. Get support from your family members. Get a buy-in from your family members, and you
yeah.
will succeed at the end of the day. Thank
All
you very
right.
much to our viewers as well on TikTok, on Riverside, on Telegram. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. We do have these shows every Monday at 6:30. It will be, a concession when we have it earlier, according to our host, our guest that we're inviting. But be sure to join us next week as well for another installment of healthy topics that we're discussing about our mental wellness and our physical wellness. My name is Neomora Pedi and my co-host is Figile, and then we sign out. You need internet? You need physical.